All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to our fifth town hall. We've been doing one in each of our learning communities, and Chaparral is the last one of five, but it's not the least in importance. We're really looking forward to having a robust and energizing conversation tonight with those who are present in the room. My name is Scott Menzel, Superintendent of Scottsdale Unified School District, and as I've shared with the other audiences, this is something that we would have done in the fall when I first got here as a part of a listen and learn tour. It's really important as a new superintendent coming into a community to get a sense of what the points of pride are for the community, what are the opportunities for growth, and how do we see our district moving forward together. Obviously, we had some distraction when I first got here with all of the changes required related to COVID, but we really want to begin to take that next step as a district in terms of looking into the future. So before I begin, I want to acknowledge the principals who are in the room, Mr. Dryford, who's the principal here at Chaparral and our kind host. We also have Principal Walt Chandler from Cherokee. We have the principal from Cochise. Sheila, thank you. I was going to say Sherry, and I knew that wasn't right. And Veronica Leeper from Sequoia. Also, Dr. Sakos is helping on the computer in terms of our virtual audience that are participating remotely. And we thank Todd and Jonathan, who have been on our traveling show together for each one of the other forums. Tonight, we also are privileged to have a couple of our governing board members, President Jan Michael Greenberg and Vice President Sanowski. And board member Zach Lindsay has made it a point to be at each one of these, but tonight he has his daughter's first communion. And I said it would be definitely noticed if you were not there. So this is an excused absence. But these are really important opportunities for us to really have conversations with the community. I will also say that it's not my intent that this is a one and done kind of opportunity. I really do believe that as a public school, it's really important for us to engage in two-way dialogue with our parents, with our community, and to have these conversations on an ongoing basis. So with that, we have three parts of the conversation this evening. The first part is points of pride within the Chaparral learning community. Tell me what I should know about this community. What are the things that make it unique and special? With our five learning communities, there are different points of pride, so it would be really helpful for me to know those. Secondly, we're going to turn our attention then to thinking about the future. What do we envision for our school district in the next 10 years? That feedback will help feed into our strategic planning process. And then we end with a general Q&A. No bad questions, but an opportunity just to put current issues on the table and have a quick conversation. So with that, let's start with anyone in the room, points of pride. We do this popcorn style and just, shout out what I should know about the Chaparral learning community. And staff can join in too. This is open. Thank you.
Okay. So our son is a freshman this year, so it has been a little different in terms of us learning about Chaparral and even his experience. Do I really have to? I do.
It's okay. For the people that are online, really.
Okay. Is it on? I can't tell. Yep. So. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, we're brand new at Chaparral. We keep hearing how wonderful it is. And my daughter and I actually toured Saguaro because she had some interest in the Math and Science Academy, and as well as Chaparral. And it was a little bit unique to get a tour because, it was COVID and whatnot, but we felt as though it was important to be able to make an apples to apples comparison versus most of the time, the kids that come from the learning communities, they only get the opportunity really towards the end of May to have somebody from Chaparral come and kind of introduce the school, even though they're signing up for classes even before that. So I have more of a limited point of view, but because I only have this half year or 2/3 a year at Chaparral, but we also both of our kids went K through 8 through Copper Ridge School. And, I love to talk about Copper Ridge. Oh, and look,
and there's Mr. Ironman.
Here, right on time. And I'm not just saying this for his benefit, but it is interesting timing. When Mr. Ironman came to our school a couple of years ago, Copper Ridge had been struggling quite a bit. And we had lost quite a few students. some of them to Cheyenne, some of them to Great Hearts, some of them to the parochial schools. But what was just so amazing, and what I have found in terms of that whole process, is what really when I first started to get connected directly to the district. I had been a traditional mom, room mom, and on the PTO and whatnot. But when I think our first concerns came, you guys are going to really get tired of hearing from me tonight. But our first concerns when I started to get involved was when our kids were testing for gifted. And I didn't understand why I couldn't find out information about the gifted program or the testing or what type of test it was going to be, why at Copper Ridge we only had a half-day gifted teacher at the time, given the demographics of Copper Ridge, which are usually overly inflated, but still there are quite a few, families that start at Copper Ridge that they all think their kindergartners are brilliant and gifted and all of that. But in any case, fast forward to when Mr. Ironman came, the kids actually call him Mr. Iron Man. And it was a grassroots thing that happened with the kids. The parents didn't start it. But he was such an amazing hire, and I think we have Mr. Peterson to thank for you, right? And the board, the governing board, at the time. But honestly, it was incredible to see the change in the campus and the teachers and everything. And we're really hoping, and Mr. Ironman and I, along with some other people, some random people at times, but we've met on a semi-regular basis aside from COVID to try to talk about, and he's been just amazingly wonderful in being open to other ideas, because as a business person and a marketing person for 20 something years, I don't want to talk about it, but I'm like, hey, we're in trouble and I'm basically out of there. But in terms of a legacy, that's my neighborhood school. I sell real estate there. It's really important for Copper Ridge to not just survive, but it's got to thrive. And so we've really, we've talked, and the PTO is somewhat involved, but they have their own agenda as well. So yeah, now our daughter is going to come to Chaparral next year. We're really excited. Our son played freshman football this year, and we're looking forward, learning more and getting more and more involved in the community here.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Tracy. We're going to look for other points of pride, but I do want to acknowledge that we have board member Patty Beckman on Teams, and board member Hartwells may also be on Teams, and Mr. Ironman did join us here from Copper Ridge. So we're trying to identify and elevate points of pride, and if any show up on the Teams, please share those as well, Dr. Sackos.
Thank you. Dr. Menzel, we have so many points of pride at Cherokee Elementary School. First and foremost, we have a brand new facility. The facility is about 2 weeks from completion, and it is gorgeous. I cannot wait to show you and everyone the new facility. It matches the neighborhood, and it's wonderful for kids. The next thing I'd really like to celebrate are the kids themselves. They have been so resilient this year and just so amazing with the mask wearing, with the quarantining and all the different practices and policies that we put in place as adults. We wrote a lot of checks for them to cash, and they did it willingly. They were happy, and they were just loving being together in the school setting. And then the staff, my staff, and I know the staff at the other schools, they've been wonderful. So resilient, they have been passionate, they have been professional, and they've kept our schools open. They did a lot of things this year that they weren't asked to ever do in the past, and they did it with style. And, we've been open for the kids for a long time, and I think that's a point of pride that we can all celebrate, and that's the work of all. And the supportive community, like my colleague said, without them, we couldn't have done this.
Thank you, Walt. I appreciate that.
Lots of things to be proud of.
Absolutely. Other points of pride in the Chaparral learning community?
Yeah. So my kids went to elementary school in the Desert Mountain community, but I have one at Chaparral now, and I think that they're very well known for their academics and the graduation rate and the kids going to college. They really have a lot of opportunities to excel, and if that's the track that your kid's on, it's a great place, and the guidance counselors are wonderful in guiding them there as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Other points of pride? Any online, Dr. Sackos?
No.
And we know that there's a lot of other things to celebrate, but always like to start the conversation with the positive things that are worth elevating and celebrating. And I've heard a number of things.
Actually, I was going to see if Mr. Dryford might.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of them. Obviously, we had in the fall, we had a 6A football state championship. Our kids have done an outstanding job on the campus, keeping their masks on. Our teachers have fought through all the hardships that come along with trying to teach students online, in person, trying to make sure that they cover all the material. Our leadership has been great to work with this year. They have provided us with everything we have needed to make school successful for our kids. Our fine arts have put on 2 outstanding musicals over this second semester. So it's been great. Chaparral continues to shine, and I look forward to all the future kids who start to come through here, because they're going to be well prepared. They already are well prepared, but will be so much more when they go to college.
Thank you, Mr. Dryford. Appreciate that. Any other points of pride before we move on to the second topic for this evening?
It appears we might be having some technical difficulty, as I have a parent who indicates they're trying to put forth some points of pride, but it's not coming through. So I'm waiting for a text from a parent, and then I'd be happy to share that.
Thank you. Mr. Dryford, did you hear anything from our POM team in Orlando?
They finished 3rd place.
Okay, so they top 3 and they'll bring back a trophy. But yeah, very exciting. And again, each step along the way, we're getting closer to the kinds of things that people do that are part of a sense of normal in our community. So do you have points of pride to share, Dr. Sackos?
I do. One point of pride is the girls swim and dive, won for the 7th year. So congratulations to Swim and Dive. And that is the one I've received so far.
Don't forget about our boys. They also won state. Our boys swim team also won state this year. First time in quite a while.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be able to celebrate those championships. A lot of good memories that are made for students in this environment. So moving on, as I think most of you in the room know, we've been engaged in a strategic planning process that really is focusing on where we're heading as a district. Every organization needs to have a clear vision of where it's going in order to be able to align resources and make sure that all of our efforts are moving in the same direction. As a district, we didn't have a clear beyond 2020 strategic plan or vision for the district, and so we've convened a strategic planning design team. We've been working on the front end of that in terms of vision, mission, and values. Those are the anchors from which we'll build a plan for the future. But what I'm really interested in is when you think about 10 years from now, if we were to come back into this room and have a conversation, what should look different in our learning communities? What should look different in our school district? What do we need to be doing with respect to teaching and learning for our students to prepare them for that preferred future for Scottsdale Unified School District? So I'm interested in ideas for where we go from here. What are the things that are important? What will be the hallmarks of an educational experience in Scottsdale that may be different, could be building on what we have, but could be very different given what our students need to know and be able to do as they move into the future. Again, no bad ideas. We're just trying to collect things that you would like to see for your students. Some of you still have kids coming through the system, and what you anticipate will be needed for our students in the next decade. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Personally, I'd like to see the social emotional learning programs continue to grow. Our kids need this more than ever, and I hope that's something we continue to invest in.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Other elements of a preferred future for Scottsdale Unified. Well, I forgot to tell you, Todd, you get your steps in when you do this.
Well, I think marketing is really an important element of this, and the approach to marketing and the opportunities that are out there that are either low cost or we're just not currently taking advantage of them. And so individual school family branding between IB, AP, so on and so forth, But it's even some basic things like if you, part of a frustration as a parent is I look at ours and Copper Ridge compared to some of the other schools that are similar to ours, and what do their kindergarten programs look like? How many kids are enrolled? That sort of thing. And I think that if you go to each school's individual website and you look at them, they're very different. And under the academic programs, and again, most young moms and most young parents all think that their kids are really gifted and they want their kids to be challenged. And those kids that do have maybe IEPs and so forth, and they're getting the attention that they need. But the other element is the attracting those families and retaining them, because if you don't get that mom's first kindergartner, you lose the family. And that's really kind of what we've been looking at and what I've been thinking about. So I'd really like to see, when there is a permanent marketing person, that person also be, this is something else too that has just been kind of floating around in my mind in thinking about this town hall. So I'm not sure what venue would be appropriate, whether it would be something like this or whether it's more at the monthly governing board meetings. But I think the public would really appreciate the opportunity to have, on a regular basis, a rotating basis, maybe have the communications director come and give a report so that the community knows what's going on and what progress is being made. The new IT director, so on and so forth. I know Jan Michael is starting kind of a marketing type of a thing from the governing board perspective, but I think what we found in the past and what kind of keeps coming up over the last year and a half is normally it's hard to get a parent to volunteer for anything. But I think that with COVID and whatnot, parents are so fired up right now that they want to be involved. The community wants to be heard. And with so much opportunity with technology, that should really, be the case. We didn't have Let's Talk before you, Dr. Menzel. And, that's an important component. But then people kind of think, okay, I'll send out this Let's Talk, but who's reviewing it? Where is it going? So on and so forth. And so there's a lot there. There's another element that, well, we're talking a lot right now about bullying and so forth, and that is, the assumption is that it's student to student. But I've heard from a lot of parents that would like to see, like, what is the process if my child is having an issue, like, there was when students decide to do demonstrations and things like that happened on a campus today, and the student doesn't participate, then are there repercussions for that student? Where can a parent go to report it to the district without feeling that they're going to have repercussions for their child because they want to do the right thing for that child? So I think we have to look at all aspects of it as to what is going on in the communities and what the kids are being exposed to. But as far as SUSD in the next 15 years, I know we're in really good hands. I know the committee the people that were selected are pretty diverse, but I still, even from that, I think the community would still like to maybe hear on a regular basis as to what the design team is working on and where they stand and where you're going to move forward.
Thank you for that. Other ideas in terms of where we're going in the future and things you'd like to see. And we have heard some of these themes in terms of marketing and communication and being very transparent with the community.
So I would love to see SUSD more tied to the communities. I don't think that our communities, since it's so much open enrollment, people don't know their neighborhood school, and people who don't have children in school, every family, every neighbor should know the name of the school down the road, have some sort of connection to it. I would love to see that. I think that would just improve our community, but also we rely on bonds to fund our schools quite a bit. So we need the people in our community to be supportive of our schools. So when that bond comes around, that gets approved each year.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Other things that you would like to see in the future?
I really just waited till you got over there. I would like for our students to leave Scottsdale schools feeling like they've had very diverse experiences so that they can recognize their interests and their strengths, and that they leave 12th grade feeling like they know what's next for them and they feel very prepared. I also would like for our community to really embrace Scottsdale schools as their district, and as Emmy said, their community, in the center of the community, and support it. You know, there's so much of taking sides these days. I really want us to come together better as a community and understand that we can have conversations about differences without attacking people and coming to the you're right and wrong. Kind of tying back to the strength of this community for sure is the consistent excellence that is produced as a result of this learning community, and that, you know, the heavy lifting begins pre-K on up. So it's not just at the high school where we have excellence. That is just kind of the lift out the door, so to speak, that our students experience. So, you know, how do we support every student, not just our highest exceller AP student, but our students that may have a different future ahead of them other than high academic experience. So I want us to think of all students, and all means all.
Thank you, Julie. Any online, Dr. Sakos?
One announcement came in earlier, and it was really at the end of Points of Pride, and it says it is a legacy community. A lot of Chaparral parents also attended Chaparral. I also want to make note that I am receiving messages that the chat is not coming through, so I have posted an announcement that if families want to ask a question, to email me at msakos@susd.org. That's msakos@susd.org.
You know, we talk about destination schools, or maybe we don't, neighborhood schools. Please understand, this is, to me, a destination school. 44% of our students on this campus are not in boundary. We have 24% are out of district, and 26%, if that's my math, I don't know, whatever my math is. Math every day, we need that. The other percentage is in district and chooses to come here. So I think that speaks well of not only Chaparral High School, but the district. I don't know the percentages of the other schools, but I do think the district does a great job of marketing our schools, and we'll continue to do so. But just knowing that almost half of our students are not within our boundary says something about Chaparral High School.
Thank you, Mr. Dryford. In terms of the future, anything else you want to put on the table before we go to our third and final question for the evening?
To kind of piggyback, I think the one thing that perhaps we need to look at is bringing along more CTE classes. We do have the traditional student, and we do work hard to make sure everybody is college ready. One of the things that we're not doing perhaps is the career readiness. We have an outstanding culinary program, but what else can we do? What other programs can we bring to our campus that perhaps EVIT is offering our kids? I'm looking at this potential, is it a microchip factory or something coming in with the auto industry? It's going to have 2,500 jobs. What is it that we can do with our kids at this level to prepare them to perhaps take those 2,500 jobs so that they're not outsourced or brought in people from out of state? So what is it that the high schools can do? I think Walt probably needs to really get back in the classroom and teach those kids coding or something, you know. So I'm going to blame it on him. Just kidding. But I mean, if there's things like that that we could start doing for the other kids who may not want to immediately go off to college, that's something to think about.
Thank you, Todd. Any other comments here before we move to the Q&A portion? All right. With that, the last part of the conversation is what's on your mind. What questions do you have? It's open-ended. When I meet with staff, I tell them there are no bad questions, and that no one has ever gotten fired from a question that they've asked. Well, you can't fire people in the community, but, you know, again, this is a part of being open and transparent. So if there are questions that you have, things on your mind, now is a really good time to ask, and we're happy to provide an answer. Or if I don't know the answer, we'll be able to provide information as we research those things. Does anybody have a question, a burning question they would like to ask this evening?
Actually, this is a direct question to Mr. Dryford. So our son played freshman football, and he has played other sports in the past. He's choosing not to participate in football in the future, but from what I'm understanding, it's a good and a bad thing, right? That all of the teams are so super competitive. But, do you have any advice for some of these families? Because I've heard of families like, for example, that have played club baseball their whole lives and they can't get on the team. So do you have any advice? Because this is actually kind of, wearing on us right now, because we want our son to be, and our daughter incoming as well, to be fully involved in the Chaparral community, and they're not necessarily, the chess club type kids. So just a basic question.
You want me to answer first, or do you want to?
No, go ahead if you want to answer.
No, yeah. I mean, the obvious question I have to throw back to you is: have you spoken directly with the coaches? They are going to be the ones that can give you the best answers as to why they may not be ready for a particular program, the effort, the attitude, skill level, whatever it might be. I can't answer that because I'm not out there. I can tell you that, the old-fashioned, just keep trying and keep getting out there, keep working hard. I think at this point, to be quite honest with you too, these kids start to figure out that, hey, I may not be as good as I think I am, or my skills don't stack up with the others. And sometimes that's a hard lesson learned. It's a valuable lesson learned and a great lesson learned. But then again, it should not keep them from not continuing to go out and try. It will sink in eventually, and there will be an end. But I would speak directly to the coaches to figure that out.
This is a text message from a parent in the community. That CHAP emphasizes football way too much to the detriment of other student activities. Case in point, one of the first things stated as a point of pride was the boys football team. Our girls soccer team went to the championship game and narrowly lost after 4 championship years. Our girls swim and dive team have won 7 years in a row, not at the non-open division like football, but actually #1 in state. We need to do a much better job of celebrating the achievements of all of our students and not just the one team. Students have major successes in all areas, arts and theater and academically. I'm going to say it as it is. I was going to edit it, but that's not appropriate. Can our site admin please concentrate on more student achievements than just one team? It's disheartening for the students who work so hard in their endeavors to be continually looked over and dismissed. Where was the communication about our PSAT scholars? There's so much where we excel. Let's make sure we market that more. It's the right thing to do to market our schools, and it's the right thing to do to support our students. End quote.
So we are working on getting better at telling our story. We have so many successes for students at all levels, and I think the point from the comment is that we actually can do better, and we know that we can, and it's a part of being able to tell our story at each of our campuses and to celebrate our student success across a wide variety of endeavors, not just athletics.
Nationwide, we have national merit scholars and can go head to head with any school in the state.
Other questions tonight? Any questions online, Dr. Sackos?
Yes, so one comment is Varsity Palm tied for second in the preliminaries, award-winning program going on now. Women's swim team, national champions.
Thank you. Any other questions in the audience?
Let me see. Okay, got another comment here. Women's soccer 4-year state champion. Women's Palm at nationals right now.
Thank you. Any other questions? I don't want to shortchange anyone if somebody's got something on their mind that they would like to ask about. But I also recognize it's a Friday evening, The sun is still shining, at least last I knew, and we do want to be respectful of your time.
I do have a question that just came in. Why are the plans to expand honors and AP classes, or what are the plans to expand honors and AP classes offerings at Chaparral?
Mr. Dreifert, would you like to address that question?
Yes, we are moving to pre-AP for all levels and freshmen and sophomores. So every student will be involved in the pre-AP program, which will hopefully catapult them, if they so choose, into continuing on into AP courses. It is a guide, a framework, the pre-AP, so that our teachers will be taking training this summer, but it is not to take the place of what they teach, what the district has laid forth, as well as the state. So it is a framework, but we have implemented that and are getting ready to implement that for next year. We currently offer, I believe, 26 or 27 AP courses as it is, and we have just as many honors courses. So I think we have a very good variety of AP and honors courses, but I'm always willing to listen to what other courses you may be asking to have on our campus.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Comment that came in, women's cheer competed at nationals today too. And another question, why are the women's sports teams cut off from the weight room? They have been winners for decades despite being shut out of the gym.
That would go to the individual coaches. All of our females are allowed or encouraged to take weight training with Coach Tillett. It's offered multiple times throughout the day. What we have found here at Chaparral High School, a couple things. One, a lot of our student athletes, including the women, all have their own personal trainers. Number two, our coaches have chosen, we have a lot of coaches who are off campus who do not make it to the school or have chosen to not have a weight training program. So I think this would be something for your students' coach to investigate if that's something you truly want to do. But we do offer it. I believe we have 4 periods of weight training that is open to every student on our campus.
Thank you, sir. Any final questions?
Another comment that came in, we have amazing honors and AP courses with amazing teachers, and a comment that also came in with disagreement to the weight room. So certainly that is something for us to explore further.
So as a district, we have a lot of things to celebrate, a lot of points of pride. We've got a solid foundation with great staff, students, facilities, a supportive community that have allowed us to have the kinds of facilities that would be the envy of a lot of districts that I've been in. We also have tremendous opportunities to be so much better and achieve so much higher for all of our students. That's the opportunity in front of us. Very rarely does a community have a combination of both the financial wherewithal and the human capital to be able to deliver such positive educational experiences for students. And that only happens when we do it in partnership with the community. So our parents are critical partners in that endeavor. Our students are at the core of every decision we make. They have to be at the core of every decision we make. They are the reason why we exist. And it's in this kind of environment, working collaboratively with our community, working through points of difference in order to achieve a preferred future for our students, that we'll find great success. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to work with all of you. I cannot wait for the 33 calendar days for this school year to be done and to really move forward into our next school year with much greater sense of normalcy and hope and optimism for our future as a school district. So with that, I think all of you know, we are open for feedback and communication. Please use Let's Talk, email. We try to be as responsive as we can. And thank you for coming tonight. I know it's a Friday night. You've got other things to do. I appreciate and value each one of you for your time and contribution to our school system, and I look forward to our continued dialogue. With that, we will close the evening.